Hey out there again. Hey, it's Shawn, the Baldy from the Beardy and the Baldy. Um, every now and then, we're gonna end up posting some videos where we're probably gonna do like solo acts from time to time because schedules and whatnot. We're gonna get together and do reviews and as we can. Jesse and I will. But for the time being, we're gonna make the best of it. So anyway, I just figured I would thank anybody who subscribed to our first video and who even bothered to take the time to look at it. I think that's awesome. Didn't expect to hit triple digits already in only, about 24 hours. So, that was very, very mind-blowing. I know for both me and Jesse. So, hey, we both thank you very much. We appreciate that. That was an epic rant for a movie. And it felt good to get it out and, better out than in and whatnot, as they say. And just, have people take a look at it. And it's something fun. I mean, it's something that we do on our own. People ask me, what do I think of movies? People ask Jesse, what do you think of movies? So, you didn't ask for it. You didn't expect it. You probably don't know if you want it or not still because we're new at this. But no, seriously, very much. Thank you for taking a look and taking an interest. And to anybody that subscribed, hey, awesome. Thank you. That was very touching to see that. So, did you get to see it yet? Did you? Last night, Doctor Strange trailer came out, and I got to see it right before I fell asleep. So I'm not going to be the fastest at getting things uploaded. I'm going to admit that right now. But gotta say, ever since they talked about, Doctor Strange will be coming out in the movies and whatnot, I've been curious. I mean, Guardians of the Galaxy, when Marvel brought that one out, I wasn't 100% sure what we were getting out of that, but man, did that thing blow my mind. I mean, it's got to be in my top three of Marvel movies to this point, with Guardians. And Doctor Strange only looks like it's going to be, really, really high up there in my list as well. The fact that they got to cast Benedict Cumberbatch was, to me, that was perfect. I mean, I've heard other people's casting ideas for Doctor Strange, but when they said him, I was like, can they rope this guy into a comic book franchise? I mean, he's got so much other stuff going on between his serious drama acting, Sherlock on TV and BBC and PBS and whatnot. But man, they got him. And, the set photos I've seen, I never would have thought Doctor Strange would look badass in live action until I saw those. He looks like he stepped out of the comic book. So I'm very impressed. The costume design is amazing, but himself, Doctor Strange, and Cumberbatch's take on it, I think is going to be interesting. From the trailer, I actually think it's kind of cool too that my wife said it earlier when I showed it to her. She said that it felt a little like if somebody was doing a modern day version of The Matrix instead of it feeling like it's still from the 90s. There's some Inception thrown in there. I mean, that part where like it looks like the city is curling in on itself, or maybe there's multiple cities that are converging or whatever. It's visually the most ambitious thing that I think Marvel has attempted to do to this point, just based on the few seconds of footage that you see with environments being manipulated, and it looks amazing. It truly does. And I mean, basically, I've been reading the new Doctor Strange series for Marvel, kind of warming myself up for this. So that hasn't disappointed. That's actually one of my favorite books that's coming out right now, and it's exciting every time a new issue hits. I have to see what happens next. I never, ever expected to see that out of Doctor Strange comic, to be honest. And here we are, you know, we're getting a Doctor Strange movie in November. That's freaking cool. So yeah, definitely excited over the preview. Definitely excited over that movie. Um, More than looking forward to November at this point. Um, and then the other big deal that came out is the reviews on uh, Captain America: Civil War that's coming out in only, you know, like a small amount of time here. And I figured they'd be pretty good, but I'm very happy to hear that across the board it feels like it's very positive. There's a lot of people that are really feeling that we're getting the definitive Spider-Man that a lot of people have been hoping for, because up to this point you have Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield playing the role, and both of them gave different sides of the character, but I felt like neither of them captured the entire being that is Spider-Man to me and to other fans out there. So from what I hear, Tom Holland is doing an impressive job, and it's turning into Marvel casting again a person who embodies the part versus you know, somebody who, you know, it's like this person is supposed to be playing this character rather than just somebody that might be a name actor out there who gets the part or whatever, and then you can't separate them from the actual like role of Spider-Man or whatnot. Gotta admit, I was always a Tobey Maguire fan. I also like what Andrew Garfield brought to the role. Tobey had a little, you know, he definitely didn't pull the one-liners and the smack talk and the quips the way that I wanted to hear him say those lines, or even, and that's some of the writing. I mean, really, I think he probably could have pulled it off if the writing would have given that to him. They didn't focus on that really, and it is what it is. In the case of Andrew Garfield, I felt like in the suit he was a good Spider-Man. It was the Peter Parker side that kind of fell flat for me. He was a little too cool. Peter Parker shouldn't be a cool person. Not, at least in my opinion. He should be somebody who is, you know, obviously a bit of a nerd and a little more socially awkward. Not necessarily the kind of person that would be walking around with a skateboard and kind of having this air about himself, like, I'm cool, nobody's bothering me. He should be somebody that gets picked on quite a lot. They did that great in Tobey Maguire's version, but Andrew Garfield, it was lacking there too. So I'm excited. Let's see what Tom Holland can do. So yeah, good stuff all around. There's even some good comics that came out this week. Hoping to get my hands on a copy of Earth 1 Wonder Woman at some point. That's pretty exciting, to just the creative team, Grant Morrison, and hopefully I say his name right, Yannick Paquet. He's an artist that I've been following for quite a while. I liked what he did on the New 52 Swamp Thing when they rebooted the universe and whatnot back in 2011. So, you know, I definitely am excited to check that one out out of all the other books. That one, yeah, that one's probably number one on my must-read list whenever I get a chance to get a copy. And another thing that I was gonna throw out there too, been going on YouTube a lot, and I've been listening to a lot of Max Landis on there, which he's somebody that he depending on the situation, I can give or take what he says. But for the most part, it's interesting to hear him go off about things, even though you probably have an hour of your life per subject that you need to devote to hearing him talk about something. But I'm not one to talk, because Jesse and I did that hour and 25-minute version of a review for Man of Steel and Batman v Superman. That was actually cut down from 2.5 hours, so you guys are lucky. There was quite a lot more venting on my part, especially about the handling of Superman. So I think just one bit of that was more than enough for everybody. But yeah, he has been doing a book that I got the chance to check out the first few issues of it, and I'm very impressed with it. He's doing the Superman American Alien book, and it's supposed to be 7 issues, and it deals with after Clark Kent arrives on Earth, or actually I should say Kal-El arrives on Earth, and the Kents find him and adopt him as Clark Kent. It involves like the trial and error of him growing up and learning about his abilities and who he is. So the first issue is him when he's a boy discovering his flight powers. And then you get into like a few years later, he does something else and this and that. You get into him meeting up with people like Lex Luthor for the first time, and how somebody who is of Lex Luthor's intelligence goes up against someone who is physically an amazing individual, but maybe on a mental level he's not quite there with Lex. So there's a little more like real world ishness to it, but it's also an interesting way of it's like an Elseworlds, but done in such a way where you don't want it to be an end to it. You want to keep going with this and turn it into its own like side universe from what DC is doing in its like the current continuity and whatnot. Because his take on things is interesting to me. I've really appreciated that book so far, and it's one that when it comes out in trade, I definitely want to get a copy. And I'd be happy to do a review of that once it comes out, and you know, go over all the aspects I like, anything I didn't like, whatever. The talent on the book too is actually really impressive as well. He managed to get a lot of people that I wouldn't have expected to do, and they do each issue in their own way. So you have artists like Tommy Lee Edwards, and you have who is it, Francis Manapul, who was doing Flash when the New 52 started and whatnot, and Joelle Jones also. So you have creators like that working on, oh, Jay Lee, he's another one. And each one has a little slice into the life of Clark Kent growing up and becoming Superman in this reality. And it's quite a book. The reason I'm talking about that, on top of the fact that it's a book that I like, I'm actually thinking, and I know Jesse and I talked about this, we're going to try to do some comic reviews and suggestions and whatnot. And the Batman v Superman talk really put me on the trail of wanting to talk about the comic book versions of Superman that have interested me and that I've enjoyed over the years, and why. So that's something that I definitely plan to work on and turn into a feature here on YouTube, hopefully not for an hour and 25 minutes. But anyway, again, I'm excited for Doctor Strange. Definitely excited for Captain America Civil War. This one, for me, is probably my must-see movie of the year, to be honest. So yeah, definitely looking forward to seeing how that works out. Excited to see Marvel finally bringing Spider-Man home and getting to have their version of one of their most flagship characters and beloved characters in their universe for the first time, playing with all the other toys. That warms my heart on a whole bunch of different levels. Now if they could just get X-Men and Fantastic Four back, then maybe, you know, this would be an assured thing that Marvel has, you know, they've cornered the market basically. But yeah, it's a good time. And anyway, again, I know Jesse and I were very excited that we were seeing, you know, numbers going up and up and up yesterday, and it's only been 24 hours, a little over 24 hours since I got to post that video. And again, hey, thanks for checking us out. If you subscribe, thank you for subscribing. That was awesome. And hopefully we'll have some more goodies to throw your way and you can enjoy. So, all right. Until the next big event, catch you later. Baldy out.